The door creaked open as Ethan stepped into our home, and I felt my heart race in a way I hadn't expected. It was just a simple move, yet it set ripples through my well-ordered life, shaking the very foundation of my marriage to David. I turned to look at him, a boy no longer, but a young man, and a wave of confusion washed over me. How could my sweet nephew stir emotions I thought were long buried? "Hey, Aunt Camille. Hope you don't mind me crashing here," Ethan said with a grin that lit up his face. I forced a smile, feeling a strange flutter in my chest. "Of course not, Ethan. We're happy to have you." As the days passed, I noticed how the tension in the air shifted. Little moments became charged with something unspoken. One evening, while helping him unpack, I caught Ethan's gaze lingering on me longer than usual. It was a look that made my skin prickle and my heart race. "You're really settling in, huh?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Yeah, it's nice to be here," he replied, his voice low. "It feels different." Different. That word echoed in my mind, wrapping around my thoughts like a vine. I had built a life with David, a life I thought was stable, yet here was Ethan, igniting feelings I didn't know I had. Was I happy? The question hovered, heavy and unsettling. I glanced at Ethan again, his youthful exuberance a stark contrast to my quiet life. We ended up sitting on the couch that night, watching an old movie, just the two of us. The familiarity of our shared laughter began to blur the lines of our roles. "Remember when you used to follow me around as a kid?" I teased, trying to keep the mood light. "Of course. You were my favorite person," Ethan said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "You still are, you know." My heart skipped. Did he mean that? I focused on the screen, but my mind wandered. I recalled moments from his childhood, how he looked up to me, how I was his safe place. But now, those innocent memories felt shadowed by something deeper. I felt his laid brush against mine, and a jolt of electricity surged through me. I held my breath, unsure of what to do next. "Camille?" Ethan's voice broke through my swirling thoughts. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, just lost in thought," I replied, my heart racing. "It's been a long day. Want to talk about it?" The softness in his tone made my heart ache. Did he really want to know? I hesitated, feeling vulnerable. "It's just, I've been thinking about my life, you know? Sometimes I wonder if I'm really happy." "Really?" His expression shifted, and I could see concern etched on his face. "You always seem happy to me." I forced a laugh, but it felt hollow. "Well, appearances can be deceiving." He leaned in a little closer, and I could feel the heat radiating between us. I wanted to pull away, to put distance between us, but my body betrayed me. Why was this happening? I had David, a husband who loved me, yet here was Ethan, awakening something inside me I thought was long gone. The moment lingered, thick with tension and unspoken words. My heart raced as I fought against the feelings swirling within me. What was happening? I felt exposed, like a flower blooming in the wrong season. The laughter faded, replaced by an uncomfortable silence filled with possibilities. "Camille?" Ethan's voice was barely above a whisper now. "Are you sure everything's all right?" I could see the concern in his eyes, and it struck me how deeply I cared for him. But this wasn't right. I had to remind myself of what I had built with David. Yet, I couldn't shake off the unsettling attraction that tugged at my heart. As I sat there, I realized that this was just the beginning of something complicated, something that would unravel my life in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. I felt my world tipping, and I wasn't sure how to regain my balance. As I sat on the couch that night, the flickering light from the television cast shadows across the room, but my mind was far from the movie playing in front of us. I stole a glance at Ethan, who was focused on the screen, but I couldn't help but notice how handsome he looked, his features sharp and his eyes bright with excitement. Memories of him as a little boy flooded my mind, his laughter, the way he would run to me for comfort. But now, those memories felt different, charged with a new energy that made my heart race. I remembered a family gathering from years ago, when Ethan was just a kid. He had been so small, his eyes wide with admiration as he followed me around, asking questions about everything. "Camille, can I help you in the kitchen?" he had asked, his little hands eager to assist. I had smiled, feeling a warmth in my chest as I let him stir the cookie dough. "Look, Ethan. You've got flour on your nose," I had teased, and he laughed, wiping his face with the back of his hand, his giggles filling the room. Now, as I looked at him, I felt a twinge of longing. How had he gone from that innocent boy to this young man who stirred feelings I had kept buried? The innocent moments we shared now felt heavy with unspoken desire. "Camille?" Ethan's voice pulled me back from my thoughts. "Are you sure you're okay? You seem a little distracted." I took a deep breath, trying to find my voice. "I'm fine, just thinking about, well, everything," I replied, forcing a smile. But deep down, I felt the truth clawing at me. I wasn't fine. The movie continued playing, but I was no longer paying attention. I felt Ethan shift closer, our knees brushing against each other, and I swore I could feel the electricity crackle between us. My heart raced, and I could hardly breathe. What was happening to me? "Do you remember that time we went camping?" Ethan asked, his eyes sparkling with nostalgia. "You told the scariest ghost stories, and I didn't sleep at all." I laughed, trying to push the tension aside. "You were so scared. I thought you were going to run back to the car." "Hey, I was just being cautious," he joked, his laughter filling the space between us. But as our laughter faded, the silence grew thick, wrapping around us like a fog. I could feel his gaze on me, searching. "Camille, can I ask you something?" he said, his voice suddenly serious. "Sure, what's on your mind?" I replied, my heart pounding. "Do you ever feel like you're stuck? Like there's something more out there for you?" His words hung in the air, and I felt a knot form in my stomach. I hesitated, the weight of his question heavy on my heart. "Sometimes," I admitted slowly. "I guess I've been wondering if I'm really happy." Ethan's expression shifted, and I could see a flicker of something, understanding? Concern? "You deserve to be happy, Camille. Everyone does." The sincerity in his voice made my heart ache. I wanted to believe him, to acknowledge the truth I had been avoiding. But how could I? I had David, and yet. Just then, the movie's climax filled the room with tension, and I felt the moment shift. Our eyes locked, and I felt the air between us thicken. I was acutely aware of every inch that separated us, yet I felt drawn to him in a way I had never felt before. "Ethan, I started, but before I could finish, he leaned in closer. The world around us faded, and all I could feel was the heat radiating from his body. My heart raced as he brushed his lips against mine, a soft, tentative touch that sent a shockwave through me. I froze, caught between exhilaration and terror. My mind screamed to pull away, to remember my life with David, but my heart was leading me down a path I wasn't ready to confront. Ethan pulled back, his eyes wide with surprise. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." "No, it's okay," I whispered, my voice shaky. I didn't expect that." The moment felt suspended in time, both thrilling and terrifying. As I sat there, I realized that this was a crossroads I never wanted to face. My heart was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, and I could feel the lines of my life blurring. I needed to regain my composure, to remind myself of my loyalty to David, but as I looked into Ethan's eyes, I felt a pull, a temptation I was terrified to explore. The night had ignited something deep within me, and I knew I was standing on the edge of a precipice, teetering between desire and loyalty. The storm raged outside, the wind howling as rain lashed against the windows. David was working late, and the house felt eerily quiet. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to find comfort in the solitude, but all I could think about was Ethan. The way our lips had brushed against each other, the way my heart had raced, it felt like a spark that lit a fire inside me. As I sat on the couch, I glanced at Ethan, who was pacing near the window, his silhouette framed by the flickering lightning. "Do you think it's going to get worse?" he asked, his voice barely audible over the storm. "Maybe," I replied, my heart pounding as I caught his gaze. "But I kind of liked the sound of the rain." Ethan turned to me, a smirk on his face. "You always loved storms. Remember that time we got stuck in the cabin during that thunderstorm? You were convinced we'd be swept away." I chuckled, the memory warming my heart. I was just being dramatic. But it felt like the world was ending. He took a few steps closer, his expression shifting to something more serious. "It's different now, though, isn't it? The way we talk, the way we are together." I swallowed hard, the weight of his words pressing down on me. "Ethan, we shouldn't be having these kinds of conversations. It's not fair to David." Ethan's eyes searched mine, filled with an intensity that made my breath hitch. "But what if you're not happy with David? What if you want something more?" His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. I wanted to deny it, to push the thoughts away, but deep down, I knew he was right. "I don't know, Ethan. I've built my life with David. I can't just throw that away." "Maybe you don't have to throw it away," he said softly, stepping even closer. "Maybe you just need to find out what you really want." The tension in the room grew thicker, and I could feel the electricity crackle between us again. I hesitated, my heart racing as I grappled with my emotions. "Ethan, this is all so confusing." He reached out, brushing a stray hair behind my ear. "I know it is. But I feel something real between us. Something I can't ignore." I closed my eyes, torn between loyalty and desire. "What if we're crossing a line that shouldn't be crossed?" "Then we'll deal with it together," he said, his voice steady. "But right now, I just want to be with you." The storm outside seemed to echo my turmoil as thunder rumbled in the distance. I took a deep breath, feeling the air thick with anticipation. "You're right. We need to talk about this." Before I could second-guess myself, Ethan leaned in again, and this time, our lips met with a fervor that sent shivers down my spine. It was different from the first kiss. This was passionate, filled with a longing that had been building for far too long. My heart raced, and I felt alive for the first time in years. But as the kiss deepened, guilt washed over me like a cold wave. I pulled back, breathless and confused. "What are we doing?" Ethan's brow furrowed with concern. "I don't know. But it feels right." "Right? Or just exciting?" I questioned, my mind racing. "I should be feeling guilty, Ethan. I'm married. I can't just forget that." He stepped back, giving me space, but the intensity in his eyes remained. "I understand. But can you honestly say you're happy with your life? With David?" The question hung in the air, and I felt a knot twist in my stomach. I had always thought I was happy, but now I wasn't so sure. "I don't know. I just feel so alive when I'm with you." "Then why not explore that?" Ethan urged, his voice softening. "You deserve to feel alive, Camille." I looked away, torn between the life I had built and the feelings that were blossoming inside me. The storm outside intensified, but in that moment, it felt like the storm within me was even greater. I need time to think." "Of course," he said gently, stepping back further. "Just know that I'm here, no matter what you decide." As I sat there, I felt the weight of my choices pressing down on me. I had crossed a boundary I never thought I would, and now I had to face the consequences. The thrill of the kiss lingered on my lips, but so did the guilt. I knew I had a long way to go before I could make sense of this chaos in my heart. Days passed since that stormy night, and I found myself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Each day felt like I was living two separate lives. With David, I wore a mask of normalcy, laughing at his jokes and sharing mundane details about our day. But inside, my heart was racing with thoughts of Ethan, the secret we shared burning like a flame I couldn't extinguish. One evening, as I set the dinner table, David walked in with a smile. "What's for dinner, honey?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with that familiar warmth. I forced a smile, trying to shake off the heaviness in my chest. "Just your favorite spaghetti with meatballs," I replied. "Sounds great. You always know how to make my day better," he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. I felt a pang of guilt wash over me. How could I keep this from him? As I served dinner, my mind drifted back to Ethan. I could almost feel his presence beside me, the way he would lean in and whisper something funny, making me laugh until my stomach hurt. The thrill of our secret encounters made my heart soar, but it also weighed heavily on my conscience. After dinner, David settled on the couch to watch TV. I joined him, but my mind was elsewhere. The sun had set, and shadows danced around the room, reflecting the turmoil inside me. I needed to talk to Ethan. "Hey, do you mind if I step outside for a moment?" I asked David, trying to sound casual. "Sure, honey. I'll be here," he replied, not looking up from the screen. I slipped outside, feeling the cool night air against my skin. I pulled out my phone and texted Ethan, "Can we talk?" A few moments later, my phone buzzed. "Meet me at the park?" The park was just a few blocks away, and my heart raced as I walked there. The thrill of sneaking away felt intoxicating, but the weight of my secret pressed down on me. When I arrived, I found Ethan waiting on a bench, illuminated by the soft glow of the streetlights. "Hey," he said, standing up as I approached. His expression was a mix of concern and eagerness. "Hey," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "I needed to see you." He took my hands in his, warmth spreading through me. "What's going on? You seemed off today." "I'm just overwhelmed," I admitted, biting my lip. "I've been thinking a lot about everything. About us." Ethan's eyes searched mine, filled with an intensity that made my heart race. "I've been thinking about us too. I can't shake this feeling that we belong together." I looked away, torn between desire and the reality of my life. "But I'm married, Ethan. I can't just ignore that." "I know," he said softly. "But what about your happiness? You deserve to feel alive." His words hit me hard. I had been so focused on my loyalty to David that I had ignored my own feelings. "I feel alive when I'm with you," I confessed, my voice trembling. "But what if this isn't right?" Ethan stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "What if it is right? What if we're meant to explore this together?" I felt a rush of emotions, excitement, fear, guilt. "I'm scared, Ethan. I don't know what this means for my life." For David. "Let's take it one step at a time," he suggested. "We don't have to make any big decisions right now. Just be honest with yourself about what you want." I nodded, but the heaviness in my chest remained. "There's something else, Ethan. Something I didn't expect." "What is it?" he asked, concerned. Taking a deep breath, I whispered, "I think I might be pregnant." The words hung in the air, heavy and terrifying. Ethan's eyes widened, and I could see the shock wash over him. "Are you sure?" "I took a test," I admitted, tears welling in my eyes. "I don't know what to do. I'm terrified." Ethan's expression softened, and he stepped closer, wrapping his arms around me. "We'll figure this out together, Camille. You're not alone in this." In that moment, I felt a flicker of hope amid the chaos. But the reality of my situation loomed over me. I was caught between loyalty and desire, and now, the weight of a new life threatened to pull me even deeper into the abyss of uncertainty. I pulled away, needing space to think. I have to go back to David. I can't keep lying to him. "Just remember, I'm here for you," Ethan said, his voice steady. As I walked back home, the cold night air felt heavy with my choices. I was torn between two worlds, and the burden of my secrets felt almost unbearable. I knew I had to confront my reality, but the thought of facing David with the truth terrified me. What would happen to our life together? And what about this new life inside me? I had no answers, only questions that swirled in my mind like a storm. Days turned into a blur, each moment filled with an overwhelming sense of dread and hesitation. I stood in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection, trying to find the woman I once was. The weight of my secret felt like a heavy cloak, suffocating me with every thought. I couldn't shake the feeling that my life was about to change forever, and I was terrified. One evening, as I sat on the edge of our bed, David walked in with a smile. "Hey, you okay?" "You've been quiet lately," he asked, concern etched on his face. I forced a smile, but it felt like a mask slipping off. "Yeah, just tired." "Work has been busy," I replied, hoping my voice didn't betray me. David nodded, but I could see the worry in his eyes. "If you need to talk, I'm here," he said gently. His sincerity made my heart ache. How could I burden him with my chaos? As he settled next to me, I felt a wave of guilt crash over me. I loved him. I had to remind myself of that. Yet, my heart was pulling me in another direction, toward Ethan. The weight of my dual life was becoming unbearable. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, images of Ethan flooding my mind. I remembered our laughter, our shared moments that now felt so charged with meaning. I picked up my phone, the glow lighting up my dark room as I typed a message to Ethan, "Can we talk again?" His response came almost instantly. "Tomorrow? I can come over after dinner, I sighed, my heart racing. I needed to see him, to confront the feelings that were consuming me. But what about David? How could I keep this from him any longer? The next day felt endless. I went through the motions of my routine, but my mind was elsewhere. When David got home, he had a look of excitement on his face. "I made reservations for us at that new restaurant," he announced, his eyes sparkling. "That sounds great," I said, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. But deep down, I felt trapped. How could I enjoy a night out when my heart was heavy with secrets? After dinner, I excused myself. "I need to check on something in the kitchen," I said, trying to sound casual. "All right, I'll clean up here," David replied, oblivious to my inner turmoil. I slipped outside, my heart pounding as I made my way to meet Ethan. The park was quiet, the stillness of the night amplifying my anxiety. When I saw him, sitting on the same bench as before, his presence brought both comfort and chaos. "Hey," he said, standing up and pulling me into a warm embrace. "Hey," I whispered, feeling the tension in my chest ease slightly. "What's going on?" He looked into my eyes, searching for answers I wasn't sure I had. "I'm struggling, Ethan. I can't keep lying to David." My voice broke, the weight of my confession heavy in the air. Ethan's face softened. "I know this is hard, but you have to think about what you want. What do you really feel for him?" "I love him, Ethan." But, I hesitated, the truth hanging on the tip of my tongue. "I feel alive with you. I can't ignore that." Ethan stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then maybe it's time to be honest with yourself and with him. You deserve to be happy, Camille." I rubbed my arms, feeling the chill of his words. "But what if I lose everything? My life, my marriage. David deserves better than this." "Does he? Or does he deserve the truth?" Ethan challenged gently, his eyes piercing through my defenses. I looked away, feeling the weight of my choices. "I keep thinking about our life together, all the memories we've made. I don't want to hurt him." "Then you have to decide what's more important, the life you've built or the life you want to create," Ethan said, his voice firm yet compassionate. I felt a storm brewing inside me. The thought of losing David terrified me, but so did the idea of living a lie. "I don't know if I'm strong enough to face this," I admitted, tears welling up in my eyes. Ethan reached out, gently wiping a tear from my cheek. "You are stronger than you think, Camille. You have to face this head-on." As I stood there, caught between two worlds, I realized I was at a crossroads. The weight of my choices felt like an impending storm, ready to break at any moment. I had to confront David, to tell him the truth about everything: my feelings for Ethan, the pregnancy, my fear. "I need to go back," I said suddenly, my heart racing. "I can't keep running away." "Just remember, I'm here for you," Ethan replied, his voice steady and reassuring. As I walked back home, the cold night air felt heavy with the weight of my decision. I was terrified, but deep down, I knew that I had to face the truth. There was no escaping the storm that was coming, and I had to be ready for whatever came next. The day had finally arrived. I stood in front of the mirror again, trying to calm the storm inside me. My heart raced as I practiced the words I had rehearsed 1,000 times in my mind. "David, I need to talk to you." I could almost hear his response echoing back, filled with confusion and hurt. But I knew it was time. I had to tell him about the baby, about Ethan, about everything. As I walked into the living room, I found David sitting on the couch, engrossed in a book. The sight of him, so peaceful and unaware, made my heart ache. I took a deep breath and approached him. "David?" He looked up, his expression shifting from concentration to concern. "Hey, Camille. What's on your mind?" His voice was soft, and it made the guilt swell even more inside me. I need to tell you something important," I stammered, my palms sweating. The words felt like they were stuck in my throat. "Is everything okay?" he asked, setting the book down and focusing all his attention on me. I could see the worry etched on his face. "No, it's not okay," I said, my voice trembling. "I've been hiding something from you, something that could change everything." David's eyes widened, and he leaned forward, bracing himself for what was to come. "What is it?" I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of my confession. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air, heavy and thick. I watched as his expression shifted from worry to shock. "Pregnant," he repeated, disbelief in his voice. "Are you sure?" I nodded, tears welling up in my eyes. "Yes, I found out a few weeks ago." He stood up, running a hand through his hair, visibly trying to process what I had just said. "This is big news, Camille. But why do I feel like there is more?" I hesitated, feeling the storm inside me intensify. "There is more, David. I need to be honest with you about my feelings, about my relationship with Ethan." His face fell, the hurt evident in his eyes. "Ethan? What does he have to do with this?" I took a deep breath, feeling like I was about to plunge into icy waters. "I've developed feelings for him. It happened when he moved in. I never meant for it to happen, but it did." David's expression shifted again, this time to a mix of anger and betrayal. "You're telling me you've been unfaithful? While we're expecting a child?" "Yes," I admitted, my voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, David. I didn't want it to happen." I was lost and confused. I didn't know how to handle my feelings. He stepped back, shaking his head in disbelief. "I can't believe you would do this to us, Camille." "To me." His voice was filled with pain, and it pierced through me like a dagger. "I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me," I said, tears streaming down my cheeks. "But I had to tell you the truth. You deserve that much." He looked away, his jaw clenched, and for a moment, silence filled the room. I could hear the clock ticking, each second a reminder of the weight of my choices. "Do you love him?" David finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," I admitted, the truth spilling from my lips. "I feel alive with him, but I love you too. You are my husband, and we have so much history together." David ran his hands over his face, frustration and hurt radiating from him. "I can't process this right now, Camille. I need time. Please," I begged, feeling the desperation clawing at me. "I don't want to lose you. I want to make this work, but I know I have to face the consequences of my actions." He looked at me, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of the love we once shared. I need to think. I can't just pretend this didn't happen. I understand, I said softly, my heart breaking as I watched him retreat into his thoughts. As he walked away, I felt the storm inside me raging stronger than ever. I had taken the first step toward honesty, but the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. I sat on the couch, the silence around me deafening, knowing that my journey toward self-discovery was just beginning. I had no idea what would come next, but I knew I had to follow my heart, no matter how painful the journey might be. Share this story if you believe that honesty is the first step toward healing, even in the toughest situations. Leave your comment about a time when you had to face a difficult truth and how it changed your life. Subscribe to our channel for more emotional stories like this one.